Say in excellent condition, but I'm not seeing it. Hey, there we are. There's an arm. Can we hear? Is it healthy? Can you actually hear me? Is the question. But I'm not seeing it. Hey, there we are. There's an arm. They're just buffering. Can we hear? Is it healthy? Can you actually hear me? Is the question. It's not muted. But I'm not seeing it. Can you hear me okay? Hey, there we are. There's an arm. They're just buffering. Can we hear? Is it healthy? Can you actually hear me? It's the question. As he says, "Wah, the orcs. It's Battletech, my good man." I mean, we're still painting green, but it's Battletech these days. You know what I mean? Can you hear me okay? Hey, there we are. There's an arm. They're just buffering. Can we hear? Is it healthy? I admire the enthusiasm. As he says, "Wah, the orcs. It's Battletech, my good man." I mean, we're still painting green, but it's Battletech these days. You know what I mean? Can you hear me okay? Hey, there we are. There's an arm. They're just buffering. Can we hear? Is it healthy? No, see, look, I admire the enthusiasm. Don't think it's picking up. The orcs. It's Battletech, my good man. Crank up the gain. I mean, we're still painting maybe. Is that going to do anything? Battletech these days. You know what I mean? Can you hear me okay? Hey, there we are. There's an arm. They're just buffering. Nothing on that. Can you hear? Is it healthy? No, see, look, I admire the enthusiasm. Crank this. That's already max. There's something wrong with me audio. Oh no. Bear with me a moment. My apologies for technical difficulties. Advanced audio properties. It should be, yeah, okay, that should be working. How about now? No? Oh, it is 100%, okay. Don't know why it's doing this. I thought it would be picking up on a no bother, but maybe that's what's required. No. Maybe this. Poking around with stuff on the stream. Now it's gone to poor again. There's no winning, I tell you. There's no winning. Beep, beep, beep. No winning, I tell you. So can I be heard or not? I think there's audio coming through. I don't think why there wouldn't be. There should be some form of audio coming through. Desktop, no. New. Can you hear me, Gitman? Jude. Is there any sound coming through? No? Yes, no, maybe. You want to reply in the chat. So I don't know how bad it is. It's saying I've got good signal. Live chat. How's she looking? Is it terrible? Is it bad? Is it buffering? What's happening? dying of death or something on me. Like, I pull this out, plug it back. Maybe? No? No? Doesn't seem to want to help at all. Seems to want to. There. How's the old audio looking now? Still bad? Still terrible? If I pump the gain up, doesn't seem to be doing what I wanted to do. Volume. I don't know why this isn't feeding. So if I pull that one out. How about we try this one? No? Still no? I don't know why it's so quiet. It shouldn't be so quiet. No, this is connected in. It's all connected. It's all being a pain in my ass. God damn it. God damn it. This changes things. What does that do on the audio front? Yes, okay, so this one seems to work a lot better. So there's something wrong with my microphone. That's not good. So this quality isn't as good. But we'll see. Should be able to hear me now. I don't know why the microphone's not working at all. It's all connected in, the audio levels are correct. But apparently not. So how's that looking? Any better? Should be somewhat better. Hopefully it's better. Apparently the stream status is excellent, apparently. Oh, it's jumping all over the place. Like constantly jumping all over the place. This is shockingly bad. And I don't know why. It should not be this bad. Why? I think it would have all the bits and pieces sorted out by now. But I'm using a really old laptop because my tower is still dead to the world. See, I don't know if my laptop's just muted or... I mean, laptop's not muted. But there's no audio coming in from the stream. I think the frames per second is shocking. There's a massive delay. And I do mean massive delay, but sure, that's not too bad. But why is this muted? It should be working though. Got output. Should be some form of audio, but I'm getting absolutely zilch. Test, test. Yep, that's coming up. Maybe if we just unmute that, is that helping? I don't think that's going to help. Test, test. Yep, that's coming up. Maybe if we just... Oh, I think I've got an audio loop. Unmute that. Is that helping? So then I think that's going to help. Muted, and then that should be muted. So I think that's it. I think there is audio coming through. I do believe so. There should be nothing coming through on the desktop now. So yeah, there is audio coming in. I just don't know why it's not working the way I want it to. What the hell is going on here? God damn it. Young channel. Let's have a look on this. Let's see what it says. People with their dogs barking. Conveniently enough. Yeah, I can hear everything. So, there's something wrong with my laptop though. Channel. There is audio. Alright. The hell with it. We're gonna start painting. And just stick with it. And hope for the best. So, what was I painting the last time? I was painting Battletech mix. And we shall crack on with painting said Battletech mix again. We're putting some coats on these dudes. They're not too bad. I think some of them are ready for the old green wash. There's one or two of them with some nooks and crannies that need a bit more green paint. But all in all, I think we've got most of the green for most of them sorted. There's not too much left that needs doing. There's a couple of bits and pieces. They're doing alright. So what we might do is get some black on this guy. That's what we might do. Sure, why not? So what we'll do is take a picture of him there, yay! Pre-paint and post-paint, I think. So we have a quick draw here from the Kickstarter. Give it a little dusting to make sure it's all right. And then we've got some of this black primer from AK, third generation black primer. Why are we using this black primer? Because I still don't know where some other black primers are. So, you know, onwards and upwards would be grand. Never used it before. That's why it's kind of grey at the front. This definitely needs to be mixed a hell of a lot more. And once that's mixed, we'll get some black on this guy. Bit of the El Noir. So, hopefully it's not a greyish blue and it's more of a black. Hey! Blackish. I'll have to do, I suppose. Yes, we're cracking on. We are cracking on with the quick draw. So yes, the tournament scene for Battletech in Ireland is looking good. We have gotten 2 tournaments down so far. The Munster Championships are sorted. The Leinster ones are sorted. Next ones are Belfast, which is in August. Then we have the Connacht ones, which are in September. So if you're not from Ireland, there are 4 provinces of Ireland. Well, there's counties. Ireland has, I think it's 32 off the top of my head, counties. And then it's got 4 provinces. So we decided to do regionals this year. So each region is one of the provinces. So there's Ulster, I can't even talk. Ulster, Munster, Leinster, and Connacht. So far we've got 2 of them down, and then we have a national one. And then there's also a European title on as well. That's over in Berlin in Germany. But I like this paint. This actually goes on pretty nice. Covers pretty well. Watered it down an ickle bit, but not too much. Sort of a blackish grey. Maybe I needed to mix it more. But it seems to have decent coverage, so it's not. 'Tis now the end of the world for me. Aha. What's going on? Well, we're going to paint this guy up in my tournament colours. So I do like a tricolour, the green, white, and orange. A green base coat, and then sort of think of like Davian. So instead of the Davian blue, there's like an Irish green and then white and orange stripe down it. And that is what I will be using for tournaments. Or I can just do 2 miniatures up that way. And then go from there. I do like a family heraldry on the shoulder. So the family colours for my surname are black and white.
And then I've done, see, I don't even have the case handy. It's in me gaming backpack. But I paint on the county colours. So Dublin's county colours are sort of a dark blue and a light blue. So I do that on one of the knees. And yeah, we do sort of like the family crest, depending on who I've decided is piloting that mech for me. And do it up that way, and it looks pretty nice. It's not a bad scheme, you know what I mean? Adds a little bit of individuality to each one, and then I can name pilots as they go in. You know, that'll be fun. Different counties and such. And then if I know players from other counties, then I can throw their paint schemes on the knees and go from there. We're getting some priming done. Hopefully everyone else is getting a bit of hobby done as well. Wasn't supposed to stream this Sunday, as you can tell from the tardiness and also the technical difficulties. We weren't due to stream this Sunday. I had to scare off a couple of cats out of the painting room. One of which had decided to occupy my chair at the desk and then try and attack the stingers and wasps by swatting them off the table. But thankfully I managed to come in time and save them from that fate. He's a cheeky chappy, that one. And then the other one was just sort of like mooching around as she does through all of the hobby stuff. So we still got a couple of boxes of hobby stuff from when we moved that need to be unpacked and sorted. We're a bit tight for space at the moment, but we will sort that over time. Get everything boxed off. It really is kind of more of like a super dark grey than a black at the moment, but I think that's probably down to mixing. I've had this bottle for a few months and I've just let it sit. So I think mixing the bejesus out of it before using it probably would change the hue of it a bit, but then it depends what way it dries as well. It is a primer. It's not the end of the world. We're going to be painting it green anyway. Giving it the old tricolour treatment, as we call it. Once that's done, we'll be laughing. But yeah, there's a good few events going on throughout the calendar year. We will be doing more participation games at GaelCon. The lads at down in Limerick will also be running participation games at various cons, so there's a bit of everything going for everyone. We have the Wii Gamers up in Ulster, and there's also a load of players up in Ulster as well. We have lads out in Sligo for Connacht. I know there's people down in Cork as well. There's people in Galway. So there's loads of people all over the place playing the old Battletechs. It's growing, seems to be growing really well, which is really good. The Essentials box set seems to have sold quite a lot beyond their expectations, which is good because it'll grow wargaming. It's not just aimed at existing wargamers, like 40k refugees or whatever, but wargaming in general, growing out into the sort of Target stores, which we don't have here, but big chain stores getting a box set seems like a really good way to get more box sets out there. And yeah, apparently it sold really, really well, a lot higher than expected. Some of that's going to be like Battletech players trying to get their hands on it. But hopefully a large chunk of it is new players just trying to get a hold of it. And I think there's a lot of new player base out there because when we did our tournament up in the gaming store in Dublin, Gamers World. When we did that, there was, I think there was about 6 or 7 people while we were playing who came up and were asking about the game. You know, where can we get the box sets and such. You know what I mean? Um, and they were looking to get a hold of some box sets, but the store we were playing in just didn't have them in stock at that moment. But sure, what can you do? You know what I mean? It's always a good sign when things aren't in stock anymore. It means that people are buying them. So there's definitely interest out there. It's just a case of getting the game visibility up, just getting games played, getting people seeing it, going to little cons, big cons, you know. When people see the game, people recognize it. You have people who've been playing MechWarrior 5 or Battletech, or they've watched YouTube videos, you know, where it's being talked about. It's like, hey, what's this Battletech that everyone's talking about? And how do you play it? And more importantly, are there players locally that I can play against? I think that's the most important thing for a game. To try and get it to grow. People need to see that it's being played. It's all well and good if you and your mates are playing it down in a club, but if people aren't being exposed to that visually, it's going to be a bit of a pain to try and get it to grow. If folk aren't seeing it, then they don't know that people are playing it, then they're not buying into it, you know? It is, a lot of it's about exposure, getting eyeballs on it. And once folk realise that, you know, other folk are playing a game that they like, they join in. They join Discords, they join Facebook groups and YouTube channels they subscribe to, you know what I mean? And they join in and the community grows. And it's, you know, more the better for it. Sort of a charcoaly colour, this primer. Just going back over the parts that have already dried. Yeah, that second coat seems to work a hell of a lot better. I think these are just Humbrol brushes. Like a number 8, there's nothing special about these brushes. I think I paid like 7 or 8 quid for them. I bought them down in Mark's Models. Down on Hawkins Street. I do go down there quite a bit for brushes and paints and such. Hobby supplies, they tend to be pretty good for the old hobby supplies. But yeah, good paints. I do like the AKs. Acrylics, these 3rd generation paints are actually quite nice. And my friend Arthur was doing some interesting work with the old acrylics on some of the mechs. He enjoys painting the old mechs. He's got himself a few mechs, but he enjoys the old painting. He's pretty good at it as well. Like, some really interesting effects. But again, I should actually get more practice into painting other factions. I haven't painted a lot of the in-universe factions myself. I've only painted a couple, but it's always a good idea to sort of paint up a box set of each, or as the packs come, like maybe a lance pack or strikers there, or whatever. Do different box sets in different clans. I suppose that would be cool. That would look pretty good. Or just come up with your own color scheme. I think that's why a lot of people go mercenary. Anyway, like mercenary forces, they just sort of come up with their own color scheme and go with it. If you get me. It's kind of what I did with the Black Hand Brigade unit that I came up with myself. I just like the old sort of Space Wolf grey and the light grey, and go with it from there. And then trying to design, I'm not trying to design, but actually just sitting down and designing unit insignia. Designing a unit insignia, and then getting some art commissions. I got Ken Coleman, who does some of the official Battletech art. I got him to do a piece for the channel art. So the channel art is actually done by Ken Coleman, which is pretty cool. Ken's pretty sound. He's got some really nice work. All the trophies that we have for the tournaments are all laser etched on Liscanner slate. So it's slate from County Clare. It's a pretty famous slate. And it's all laser etched with different art by Ken. So Ken's a digital artist and he's done up art. And all of the trophies are Ken's art, and they're really nice trophies. One of the guys from Dublin won the Leinster one, Mark. He got himself a really nice trophy. And there was Ian down in Limerick. He got himself a nice one as well. And they've all been donated by Gary Jackson. He runs the Gathering gaming store down in Limerick. So he got them all made and paid for them himself. And fair play to him, like, they're not cheap. Cost a fair old chunk of change to do, but they look really nice. I have to say, they're probably like the nicest trophies I've seen for a war game ever. Like, ever. Which is rather impressive. They do look amazing. Some absolutely cracking work. So yeah, seeing some of them, I want to see what the Ulster crowd are gonna have for their trophy, because it's all various art done by Ken, so it's all mechs that have been laser etched on. So it'll be cool to see what are their trophies and art are going to be at the next events. Like I said, next month is going to be the Ulster one. Gonna try and get up there myself. Gonna drive up there. I'll be taking a couple of the lads from Dublin as well. And I think we're just trying to organise who's going, who's not going, who's going to be driving. So there'll be a few of us heading up, you know. It'd be good. Then there's a good crowd up there. There's a good few lads up in Northern Ireland, up in the Ulster province, which also includes Donegal and such. So it's not all just Northern Ireland, but yeah, there's a good few lads up in Northern Ireland who play Battletech. So it'd be good. It'd be good to meet a lot of the lads up there. I met some of the lads from the Wii Gamers down in the Conclave convention when it was in Thomond Park in Limerick. So I met a couple of lads already. They seem pretty sound. Gitman has returned. Oh no! Was just making a quick pit stop at the hobby store to pick up a free model. A free model? And what free model did you pick up? I hope it was a Battletech miniature. I better not be hearing no 40k chat. I don't know whether you can hear it or not, but I have a cat at the hobby room door being annoyed that I've closed the door because he got kicked out because he was knocking miniatures off the desk. Now, not literally kicked out, but he was ejected from the room because he decided, do you know what? Dwayne's about to do a hobby stream. Do you know what would be a great idea? How about I knock some miniatures on the floor? It's a cheeky chappy, that cat, I tell you. Absolutely cheeky chappy. And he's giving out. Don't know if you can hear him or not, but he's like, why don't you love me anymore? I want attentions. It's like, how dare you, sir? There are miniatures to be painted. That's the interesting thing about pets, is learning how to behave and stuff. Just Space Marine that I probably will not use. Space Marine, Jude. How dare you, sir? I hope that's a basing material that you're using for an orc war boss or a 40k orc character or some description. There better not be any Space Marine shenanigans going on in this stream. We have Kaiser from Modeling from Advantage. What is the crack, Kaiser? How are you, bud? We're having some slight technical difficulties at the moment between buffering and then the audio just refusing to work initially, and I still don't know why. The old microphone's plugged in and audio in from the interface has got power going to it, and just got a gremlin in the works for some reason, so I'll have to sit down and figure out what's going wrong there. But we're using the microphone from the webcam, which I'm pretty sure isn't going to be as good quality as what you're used to. But this is a surprise stream. We only really go every 2 weeks, so this is a nice Brucey bonus, But we're getting some paint on some miniatures. We're getting some basing done. And that's the important thing. I hope you're all getting some hobby done as well. Or if not, you're at least got some decent games in during the week. We got a few practice rounds, myself and a couple of the lads from the club. We have Neil and Keane. And we were trying out some of the pairings for the Ulster regional tournament that's coming up. They're all pre-generated, so pre-pick pairings, and then you just try which ones you like. Gitman is saying he might bolt him to the side of his new stomper. Ooh, very nice. Seems fine, but I can't see your handsome face. I know, Kaiser. I'm depriving you of of my fine visage, I suppose. Or I think the problem I have at the moment is the tower that I normally stream on is having issues with accessing memory. I don't know what happened to it. Something with the Windows update. It went a bit awry. And I've actually dropped it in today to a friend to see if he can sort it out for me. So the computer works, but you just can't access any of the memory on it. Like if you go to open up like the C drive or the D drive, it just won't open up. It sort of blinks a bit. And it comes up, it'll show devices, it'll show you that they've got memory in them, it'll show you programs and stuff like that, but you can't access it. So the tower's off, getting looked at and fixed. So by the time we do our next stream, this should be up and working, but there will not be a stream next week as I am off to a wedding. It's not my wedding, but I will be going to a friend's wedding, but it's a bit top secret at the moment, you know what I mean? Can't be giving details away, I can't. But I have a wedding to go to. It's not mine. A good friend of mine is getting married, and then after that we'll have a stream. So we won't have one next Sunday, but we'll have one the one after. Keep saying I also got a game of Tent Ed against Mr. Goody this next Sunday. Gonna have a right good scrap. Ah, good, cool. Hope it goes well for you. Hope you have fun. I have still not looked at or indeed played 40k this edition. I have been too busy with the old Battletechs. I'm sort of gone gun-ho on it. But I haven't quit 40k. I will play it again when we go to do our next big boss meetup, which will probably be next year. So I'll probably worry about it closer to then. And I reckon by that stage there'll be an Orc Codex. So, I mean, is there any point in me even looking at the data cards, let alone printing them off or buying them? I don't think there is. I don't plan on getting a game in between now and then. I would be very surprised. Are we still good for Tuesday? Oh, I will be able to tell you after the stream. If I can get it to work on this laptop, then yes. If not, then maybe not. But I will be able to tell you after the stream. I will wrap up the stream in a half an hour. You aren't getting the full time on me today, I'm afraid, my friends. As much as I am disappointing you. But yeah, Kaiser, computer problems. Big, massive computer problems. Sadly. Hopefully it gets sorted by tomorrow. Hopefully. I'll see if my friend can get it sorted by then. We have solvent abuse. It's dread. What's the crack, solvent? How are things? What are you working on, man? What hobby are you getting done? We are painting up, or priming at least. This miniature is an archer, but it's the archer from the Alpha Strike box set. Now I forget the specific variant off the top of my head, but it's a bit more. It's a later tech archer, so it's not just the missiles. It's got I think this one's got like light PPCs or some shenanigans. That's what these underslung guns are, if I remember correctly. I could be misremembering, but then you have to take into account this Battletech, and there's like 1,000,001 variants. There's quite a lot. But it does look kind of nice. No bother. We can leave it for a week or two. I think that's probably the best bet, Kaiser, if we leave it for a week or two. Because once my mate gets that up and sorted, there won't be any issues. So if we leave it for a week or two, I can get things squared off on the technical difficulty side of things. It's annoying. Do you know that when you go to get something sorted and it's like, oh no, I'm not working anymore. It's like, uh-oh. I don't need this right now. Oh, Solvent says he is getting ready for the new Epic. Didn't they change the scale on Epic? Didn't it say? I thought I saw pictures of Epic, and they're all on like round bases, which I thought was a bit weird looking. But I have some of the old Epic stuff. Like I actually have like the Orc Mega Gargant, the Gargant, the Big Mech Gargant, or whatever. Like I've a few of them. I have a few of the Orc Epic stuff from back in the day. But from what I understand, they've changed the scale on it. And they seem to do this now when they reboot stuff. They change the scale on them for no particular reason than to make the older ones out of scale with the new version of the game. Which is a bit meh, but I can understand why they do it. And there does tend to be a scale creep. There's creep going on in wargaming in general. Everything keeps getting bigger and bigger, I find. You know, they're becoming bigger chairs, not so much miniatures. I mean, the Battletech stuff had to be rescaled to itself, which is understandable, but that means that some of them got substantially bigger in comparison to others. But they are actually in scale with each other for once, which is, you know, which is visually pleasing at least. But it does mean that some of the mechs are absolutely massive compared to what they used to be. Like the Torquina is, Jesus. The Torquina is an absolute beast. Huge, like. The Atlas is a nice size as well. It's a bit of a big boy. There we go. We got most of our priming done in our Alpha Strike box set archer. Again, we're using the AK black primer. I'm just brushing it on. Why am I brushing it on? Because I'm a lazy git and I haven't set up. Oh, it actually dries really matte. So there's the quick draw. This is a miniature that isn't released to the general public yet. It will be out in the Kickstarter. Well, that's actually dried really matte. I quite like that. Sort of a charcoaly black. But it looks decent. I'm liking the look of it. And now I'm trying to remember where I put the green. Way. So this is the green we're going to be using for a quick draw. We'll start throwing a coat or two on it. Solvent is saying, yeah, it's bigger. Yeah, I figured as much because it wasn't the, what's it called? The Titanicus? I forget the name of it. The Titans. The, oh, jeez, my brain is not working at all today. More so than usual, says you. Huh? Isn't it? Well, it's not Adeptus Titanicus, is it? What's the name of the Titans that they brought back out again? But it's all Heresy era, and the Titans, like the Warlord Titans, are the size of like of knights, if you know what I mean. I think it's Adeptus Titanicus. Okay, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, like if the epic stuff, which I'd expect it to be, is all scaled together, and then the Aeronautica Imperialis stuff. So is the I take it like the epic stuff, the Titanicus stuff, and the Aeronautica stuff is all in scale with itself, which would be pretty cool. Yeah, it is. I thought as much. So then you could have some really interesting games. Like, what are the rule sets like? It's Adeptus Titanicus. Right, okay. I did remember. So then how... I'd be interested to see how they integrate, because that's what I like about Battletech, is that it has the possibility to integrate like flying elements and like infantry and stuff. So I would like to see what it would be like for Epic. What it's gonna be like, you know. Now look at that. Look at that green straight over black. Is it gonna take a couple passes? Yes. But look at how bright it is. Holy Jesus. Now, if this was back in the 1800s, I can guarantee you this green would be radioactive. We would be slowly poisoning ourselves painting it. Probably the wrong hue, but you know what I mean. New rules, he says. New rules. Lorcan has appeared. Way. What's the story, Lorcan? Gitman is saying that is why I is the one that remembers all the things, so you don't have to remember them. That's right. You're here to be our memory grot, or our odd boy. It's usually the odd boys that do the remembering. The Runtwords, I think, wasn't it, lore-wise? Well, old lore-wise, God knows these days. It's the Runtherds, the Runtherds that would do all the remembering story-wise in regards to clans and their history, sort of like the oral history and the legends. Scales better for mass battles. This is true. Like, does anyone play Apocalypse? Because I didn't play an Apocalypse game with the latest version of Apocalypse. The last time I played Apocalypse was, I suppose, seventh edition kind of folded Apocalypse into the core game. So the last big sort of Apocalypse type game or Apocalypse game would have been 6th Ed then, wouldn't it? Yeah, because the last Apocalypse rulebook was 6th Ed, and then until they brought out Apocalypse in 9th Ed. So 7th and 8th edition didn't have Apocalypse, but 9th Ed did. But it was a different game. The Nostalgic Critic. Ah, that's me sometimes, alright. Remembering the good old days. Back in my day. But yeah, there's a good few Legends units that I need to look at cards wise for when we're doing our next big sort of boss battle, because I have some Legends units. Oh, bit too much paint on there. Hold on. I'll save you. Yeah, I have a few Legends units that would be cool on a big battlefield. Like I have the Battle Fortress. Do you know the old Battle Fortress, the Forge World one? I bought one of them off of someone years ago. Years and years ago, I bought a genuine Battle Fortress off of someone. I think it was about the same as retail price. And it's a genuine one, which is sweet. And what else have I got that's sort of Legends? I have... What else is Legends? I have an Orc Fighter Bomber. So it's sort of like plastic fighter. The Forge World one. Because we used to go to Warhammer World all the time. We used to go twice a year. I used to organise an Orc event twice a year. Going to Warhammer World. And when we were there, we used to buy Forge World stuff. Because there's the Forge World store there. And that's how we ended up with so much Forge World stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what the Legend units are like. What's Jude saying? Back in my day, we didn't have these things like Primaris Marines or Beast Nagas. Had boys and knobs and crumped anyone that got in the way. That's true. There wasn't any Primaris back in my day. Like I'm trying to remember when I first started with 40k. Like there wasn't the Land Raider miniature that had gone at that stage. Like I started just as second edition was finishing up. I think is when I started with 40k. And because I remember the leaflets about oh the new edition's coming out, the new 40k, and the new edition when I was starting was Torded. New edition of 40k is coming out. It's third edition, you know what I mean? That's what was the new edition of 40k. So I may not have been here since the beginning, but I've been here a long time. Before I got rid of all my 40k minis, I had one of the OG Metal Last Cannon Marines, my Devastator squad. And that one that had the backpack as part of the cast and carried a gun at hip level. Oh, the backpack is part of the cast. Was this back in the day when everything was shoulder mounted, or was this the sort of did he have like the there were some really weird like Rogue Trader looking dudes. But yeah, like the old second ed stuff, like the Devastator squads, that was back in the days of metal legs and body, and then plastic arms and shoulder pads, and backpack and guns. You know? So you could at least buy a couple. You'd slowly build your army up. Or you'd buy bulk like cheap plastic stuff, but they weren't great, but the metals were better. But unless you had a pin vice and you knew what the pin, it was like if you dropped your Space Marines, that was it. It was losing arms and weapons and God knows what else. But yeah, I came in just as second ed was dying off, like just as it was dying off. And third ed was the trying to remember. See, I was in school and one of the guys in primary school. In fourth class, which would have been around. I'm trying to remember. I was yeah. I think it was about 1997 is when I started. About then. Like my first box sets were I think were 5th edition Warhammer Fantasy. But I had known about the game for a couple of years beforehand and had been tormenting my parents to let me buy some. But my mother was adamant that it was too expensive. Which she was right. In hindsight, she was right. But I got some in the end. And my first ever miniatures were Bretonians. Archers from the fantasy paint set, and I got like the little box set of I think they were Bretonnian Knights of the Realm. There was like 2 in a box set. So those 2 dudes. That was the start for me. I heard back in the day that painters didn't even paint the full model, they only painted the front of the model. Because that's all you'd see. Because back in the day, they were real men and they didn't run away, so you never saw their back. Did the link post? If you tried post a link, I don't think so. Hold on. If we click on you, can we do... What will this do? Ah, it does moderator. There you go, Lorcan. Try that. The guy as listed as heavy laser there. Oh, was this back before like last cannons were actually a thing where it was just like heavy lasers. You know, back when it was an odd game where Space Marines had hover tanks and stuff. Back before that actually became standard. Do you remember that? Do you remember when like apart from the land speeder, like hover tanks or hover bikes were like the Eldar thing, and then Tau came along and stole their gimmick a bit, stole a bit of the wind beneath their sails. That's hilarious. I've noticed that about the game as time went on because I remember I had Space Wolves. I had the 3rd edition Space Wolf Codex, and what the Space Wolf had that other Space Marines didn't have at the time was Venerable Dreadnoughts. That was their thing. And what was really cool about them is you could take them as your HQ. So they were literally like the only guys in the game at the time who could take a Dreadnought as a HQ. And I thought that was cool, man. You know? When I was playing them, not many people were playing them. But I didn't pick them. Like I said, I was collecting Bretonnians and Lizardmen at the time. That's what I had. I'd bought like the beginner box set. And I got it cheap as well back in the day when GW used to have sales and stuff was on discount. And I managed to get that like beginner box set for 20 quid, man. I was so chuffed. I think it was £20 back before the euro came in. It was £20, I remember, and I bought it in Blanchardstown actually. So there was a Games Workshop in the Blanchardstown shopping centre, and that is where I bought my first miniatures. It's gone now, sadly. The Blanchardstown Games Workshop is gone. And now it's like a shoe store. So I walk past it now and then and I have nostalgic pangs of what used to be there. You know, the game store where I learned to paint and where I bought my first miniatures. But sure, what can you do? Time moves on. And waits for no man. Or woman. As the case is. But yeah, that's where I started off. That's where my hobby started off. Space Wolves were the first chapter to have special rules published in White Dwarf at the end of my time playing. Oh yeah. Did not know that. Cool. Yeah, they were cool, man. And do you know what I used to love about them as well? You'd have Fenrisian wolves. So you'd have... there was like this trial that the Space Wolves used to go through where they'd have to go off and kill like the alpha of a wolf pack, and then the rest of the pack would then follow them just to sort of prove themselves. So then you'd be able to take Fenrisian wolves. But Fenrisian wolves are literally just like dire wolves from Warhammer Fantasy, or wolves from Warhammer Fantasy. Like, they were literally the same ones that like the Goblin Wolf Riders would ride on, or that like the vampire accounts and stuff would have. They were exactly the same miniatures. You know what I mean? So I found that funny. So you'd have the same sort of wolves from Warhammer. You had the same miniatures from Warhammer Fantasy, but they were in your 40k army. And then you could take a Le Mans Russ exterminator back in the day. Like the Tour Dead Space Wolves, I think were actually pretty flavorful and funny. Like, they were fun. I used to like that the Space Wolves scouts were like venerable, that they were the elites, the scouts, whereas other Space Marine chapters, they were sort of like the new guys. It's like, oh, you don't have power armor yet. Here, we'll put you in a scout squad till you can earn your stripes. But in the Space Wolves, it was like, no, 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 the Blood Claws. So these new dudes, we're going to put them in like units of 20 and give them chainswords and ball pistols and power armor. And out you go. Go on. Go have fun. Go chop things to pieces. And I used to enjoy that as well. Because I think they had worse ballistic skill and weapon skill. I think they only had like weapon skill, ballistic skill 3. They were like average. Even as a young unscarred showed his 40 tendencies. Get out of here, you. The bleeding cheek of sci-fi. The 41, eh? Says the man who is a walking four-ball. Have you shaved the beard yet? Or is it grown longer? Have you put more Viking dreads into it? Has its majesty expanded, Si? That's what I want to know. How goeth the beard? So many questions in so little time. Is the shed still standing? Has it collapsed in on itself yet? You know? Have you migrated the miniatures that you have stashed there out of your shed that's slowly dying? Or what's the crack? And all those speed freaks you were painting, have you finished painting them up, or what's happening with that one? You know, did you crack on a bit more? Did you make a bit of hobby space on the hobby desk there? Did you clear a bit of space to get some miniatures painted, you know? All the green. I mean, ideally I should be leaving like space here for the metallic parts, you know, so I don't have to come back in and re-black them or whatever. But I'm just sort of like just throwing paint on it, you know what I mean? Just get paint on it. I mean, ideally you should probably prime it white, but I'm not a massive fan of that because if I miss any bits, then they show up where it's like if you leave bits here unpainted when you're doing the green, I think it's going to take 2 or 3 coats, but you get good coverage. If you miss a layer or so, once you've primed the black with the green, should I do his fists green or leave them black? The choices. I might do the metal or green. Green, do you know what? We'll do green. Green will look reasonable. I feel that's how it'll work. Yeah, and if we do the rest of it metal, so it seems to be like the main part of its fist, the back of its fist is like one piece. And then we'll do the fingers in metallics because I figure the fingers will be used to pick stuff up so much that the paint would chip off and wear off them pretty easily. If you know what I mean. A lot of weathering. Beard trim, dog stood on something and cut an artery in his foot. God, Jesus! Confirmed the more extreme samurai moves are true. Blood definitely spurs like a hose. How's the dog, man? What the hell did he stand on? My brother's gonna kill me for telling this story, but remember when we were young fellas and we used to go to like a caravan park sort of for summer holidays, and there was a part of it that when people broke down, because people used to build like decking on the side, on the side of these mobile homes. But now by mobile homes, I mean like these big, huge things that are pretty much like prefab apartments. They weren't like little sort of ones that you drove around. These were sort of the big, huge ones that went on blocks and they didn't move. So they were on these big concrete like slabs that are, I don't know, they're pretty big. And so people would build decking on half of them. And what they would do is once the deckings get rotten and whatever after so many years, they'd break them down. And there was a scrap area. So all the scrap wood would go into this area. And my brother decided to take a shortcut across this scrap area, and I was just walking the path as normal. Or did I take the shortcut first? No, actually, I took a shortcut before. I took the same shortcut, but I went ahead of him. So I went first, and then he followed after. But the problem was he jumped over it, so it was like you jump over a wall, and then took a shortcut through. So I jump over the wall, and I get going, and then he jumped over the wall, and I'm walking on a bit, and I hear him calling me. So I go back to him then. I thought he was messing first of all, so I kept walking, and then I heard him call me again, and he sounded a bit panicky. So I go back to him, and sure, lo and behold, hadn't he jumped over the wall? And I swear to God, there was a nail about the size of this paintbrush handle sticking out of a piece of wood, and there was about yay much of it stuck in me brother in his shoe. So he jumped over the wall, and he'd managed to land on the nail, and he was literally stuck to the plank. So I had to go up and sort of stand on the plank, pull him out of it, and then bring him home. But thankfully, it wasn't too bad. It was only, I went into the bottom of his foot, but it was all right. It wasn't too bad. And we got him home in one piece. But yeah, your story of the dog cutting an artery or something like that reminds me of my brother jumping jumping over a wall, taking a shortcut, and nailing himself to a rather long plank of wood. I think it was even longer than him. But it was a pretty substantial nail. Like it wasn't a. How did I miss this foot? Pretty substantial nail. It wasn't no piddly sort of nail. But I still remember, like I thought he was joking. That's the thing. But I did. I went back for him. My brother was a bit of a joker when he was a kid. He was a messer, a dosser. But yeah. And there you go. Don't tell him I told you that story though. Larkin is saying White Dwarf 157 is the issue with the Space Wolf rules if anyone's interested. Oh, well, Jesus, yeah, I wouldn't mind looking at that. I'll check it out. Go down Nostalgia Alley there. Sci-Fi is saying either a torn or glass. Had to go to the vet for stitches. Now has a little dog shoe, but has figured out how Velcro works already. Oh God! So is that his bionic leg? Because I know he had like a broken leg years ago, and they gave him like adamantium or whatever, or titanium. So he has titanium for bones. Was that his titanium bionic leg, or was this the other leg? Is your dog slowly becoming more machine than dog over time? Is what I'm asking. But at least he's okay now. That's the important thing. And hopefully it didn't cost you too much. But more importantly, hopefully you've been getting hobby done. Or have you been busy buying more Lego Star Wars sets, Si? Hmm? I know you. They're actually opening up a second Lego Star Wars store over, or not Lego Star Wars, but I mean just another Star Wars store over here in the Blanchardstown Shopping Centre, the one that Games Workshop used to be in. Orkin is saying, standing there in you, Jesus Christ, Paul's arms stretched out like you've been carrying a load, and you swear. What are you? Is this a song, Lorcan? Bitter and twisted, more machine than dog. No, the other front leg. He is indeed slowly becoming more cyborg. Cyborg? Cybark, maybe? Cybark? Cybernetic, maybe? How would you for dogs? Canine. Wasn't that the name of the cybernetic dog for Inquisitor, wasn't it? There was the canine or something like that? Or was that, am I thinking Buck Rogers or something like that? I can't remember. Somebody had a robotic dog, or was it Doctor Who? And it was just called Canine. Back when little robotic dogs were all the rage. Do you remember that back in the 2000s? Gas. But yeah, looking forward to more tournaments. It'll be good crack. So we get this guy painted up and paired up with the Banshee. That will be my two sort of tournament proxy mechs painted up. You know what I mean? I won't really need to do won't really need to do anything else unless there's a specific round that I have the specific miniatures for it, but I don't think so. K9 is the Tin Dog and Doctor Who. Yeah, Doctor Who. I knew there was one. There's so many like little robotic sidekicks. What was the one in Buck Rogers? Was that Boxy or was that Battlestar Galactica? I can't remember now. Sort of like a robotic teddy bear thing. Or Voxy or something like that. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. So I was saying no more Lego Star Wars yet, though. New collector's X-Wing tempting. Cleared hobby space enough to put up a spray boot. Ooh, look at you. And got some paint on the Commandos. But all the GW paints look like 10-year-old gum. Ah, yeah, Jesus, bud. Sure, got up to the old, the model shop. Do you know the one that used to be the old church? The one that's beside the church mouse. Get your arse up there and get yourself some decent spray paints. Or airbrush paints, not even spray paints. Sure, they have a wide selection of stuff. They have a great selection of stuff up there. I don't even live in the country and I already love that model shop. It's great. Kaiser saying, Twiggy is the robot in Buck Rogers. Oh, it was Buck Rogers. I was right. Okay, yes. You have to remember, I'm digging deep into memories now. Like, I was a child of the 90s. I was born in the late 80s and I was a child of the 90s. So, you know, this is rerun central right now. Ah, you're thinking of the original Battlestar Galactica. That was Muffet the Daggett. Right, okay. So Muffet the Daggett was like the sort of little teddy bear thing, but I do remember Tweaky the robot and Buck Rogers because it had a weird sort of head. It's kind of like if Darth Vader was made to look, yeah, because I remember it had that like, yeah, I remember the Buck Rogers robot as well. I remember him. See what I mean? Like so many little sort of robotic sidekicks knocking around, be they dogs or not. So if I was saying Northeast Model Center, the hobby shop of awesome, it is. You're right. It is the hobby shop of awesome. They've got so much stuff in there as well. Like nice mix of things. Porkins asking, "Are you calling me old?" No, I am merely stating how old I am, and if by comparison that makes you feel old, well, that's up to you, my good man. Boxy was the kid that had the Daggett. I know Battlestar Galactica too well. Well, yeah, you're. I would have been very young, so I'm trying to remember something over 30 years ago. Tweaky would go biddy 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 at the start of his sentences. Yeah, I remember that. And of course, Buck Rogers and OG Battlestar were made by the same people. Oh, so that's probably adding into the confusion. Or should I say, biddy biddy biddy? That's adding into the confusion. I know it didn't sound like that. But yeah, old school TV. Some of it was great. Some of it was terrible. I remember Space 1999 and watching that, and like some of the episodes are great, but apparently there's a lot of controversy with it. In that, like, the first series and the second series are drastically different. What's Dorkin saying? Fun fact, the guy who played Troy, aka Boxy, after he grew up, also played Crichton's dad in Farscape. Ooh. So if I was saying he preferred the lady colonel in Buck Rogers more than the robot, to be honest. I'm sure you did. I don't even remember the plot of Buck Rogers, what the base premise of it was. All I know was it was in space, there was a kid, and the kid had a little robot. That's literally all I remember. I'm gonna have to go and like watch some YouTube of Buck Rogers just to sort of remind myself. What else was there? Space 1999. And then it was all like, I remember watching a lot of Captain Scarlet, the Thunderbirds, the old stuff. Ah, was it Joe 90? Was the kid supposed to be like super smart? I think it was Joe 90. And there was it Stingray? Where it was another one of them puppet ones where they had like a submarine. And I remember there was like an underwater chick or something like that. Aqua Maria or something, yeah. But I used to love in Captain Scarlet, like the Decepticons, like just the light for them. This is the voice of the Decepticons. Farscape was good. I don't think I've watched all of Farscape, but Farscape was good. They retooled Series 2 massively because Series 1 didn't sell as well in the US, dropped some of the main characters, made it more actiony, brought in Fred Freiberger, aka the guy who killed Trek, as a series writer. Joe 90 was the kid, yeah. So, Jesus, my memory's not too bad. Love me some Jerry Anderson. Oh, that's right, yeah, they brought in Fred Freiberger, didn't they? Stingray was the submarine. Marina was the mermaid's name. Yes, that's right, because they had a little fucking... They had a, they had a theme song for her. I remember that. Yeah, Stingray was the submarine. It was pretty cool looking. I remember that. It had like a weird looking propeller in the back of it. Good times. Good times. I was too young to get the Transformers when they first came out, but I got reruns of like the original Transformers. And I remember some of my first books were like Ladybird books, and I remember one of them was a Transformers one where it was like it was Bumblebee was being tracked down by some of Soundwave's little sidekicks. There was like a Puma or something like that. There you go. There's Stingray. Da, 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 da. Yep. It's not like Stingray. Do, 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 do. I have to say, like looking back on some of the Thunderbird stuff, like some of the vehicles they have, I'm like that definitely look great in Battletech. Some of them were absolutely class. Like I remember there was a giant crawler. There was a giant like crawler that was firing rockets out to like destroy tree stumps, and it was what was it? It was laying road, and I was thinking to myself years later, something like that would be perfect for like a giant 40k orc sort of vehicle, where it would be like a crawling hangar that laid down road as it went to then launch the aircraft from, if you get me. So it'd just make its own sort of landing strips or something like that. You meant to show me those spare Megatrons I have if you still want one. Yeah, sure, the next time we go out to get the tower, just show us the Megatrons. I want that one that's the drilly one, that looks cool. If I can get my hands on it. But I don't really want to be buying multi-packs. It's like one Megatron, one Transformer is fine. I do not want to start collecting loads and loads of Transformers. I specifically just like the look at that one. Also helps that he's grey. Light grey and dark grey. I'm like, such a brilliant colour scheme. What's not to love? Now, this doesn't look too great at the moment, but once we put like the dark green wash on it, which will probably be next time around, once we put the dark green wash in it, it'll pop quite a bit. It'll start to look decent. But it's not too bad, like, taking into account it's covering that sort of colour. That's not bad going at all. I think the Thunderbolt episodes had the equivalent of £1 million per episode budget. Can't be right, man. They would have went broke long ago. £1 million per episode on Thunderboards. The cities in the film Mortal Engines are basically battle fortresses with less weapons. Yeah, I mean, the premise is pretty good in the film, but it was just, I don't know what happened to that film. It was just a big flop. I was expecting a lot more from it. I don't know what happened. Was it the storyline was just crap, or I don't know. I remember London was just like the big one that just ate everything or whatever. But just the whole idea was fantastical and stuff. But I just felt like the storyline just wasn't great in that film. I remember watching it. So I have two Megatrons. They're the same basic body, but as the minor one, but they're in his usual grey and have a cannon in his arm and come with a sword gun as well. Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look and see what the story is. I was fond of the minor because I like the colours of him, and he's pretty cool looking. And he's a miner. What's not to love about miners? Speaking of miners, the shipment will be in soon enough, so those two mining mechs or construction mechs will be in soon for you there, Lorcan. We're going to wrap this one up in a few minutes. Hopefully, folks have managed to get a bit of work done. So, didn't get too crazy progress today. Had quite a few technical difficulties which sort of hindered things, but we got some priming done, and we have our Kickstarter quick draw. We've started to get some of the base color. We're going to paint them up in our tournament color scheme, and we're going to bring them to tournaments is what we're going to do with this guy. So there's two potential tournaments going on this year that I can go to in Ireland. I don't know if I'm going to the Europeans. That one is in October, I believe, or is it beforehand? I need to check the dates on that, but that's in Berlin. I haven't made any provisions or decisions to go there yet. I'm a very busy guy this year for some reason. On the old social calendar, there's quite a lot going on. Whoa! So it was. Thunderboards was £38,000 per episode. Adjusting for inflation is 985,242.97 pounds. So yeah, nearly a million quid per episode. Holy Jesus! I mean, they must have been making some bleeding money off it then if they were throwing that much at it. And the fact that like the legacy is still going and whatever else, that's rather impressive. So I was saying, when you get the chance to check out the pics from Nate's Pale Orcs, get together on the Orc Discord. Someone did a Squig army that looks good, and Scott's cans are ace. I will. I'll go check them out when I get the chance and see what they're like. There was a Stompa posted up, but I don't know who Stompa it was. But it did look pretty class. Which reminds me, I've still got like loads of 3rd edition dreadnoughts and killicans and stuff like that. So hopefully I'm gonna have a dedicated hobby room and a bit more space set up by the end of October or the middle of October. And once that happens, I'm going to rejig the hobby room altogether and hopefully start digging out the old projects as well. I wouldn't mind bringing along like an old school dread mob because I have it. I know I have like more than 9 killicans because I used to take them in units of 3. You were able to take like 3 units of 3 for a codex. So 9 killicans. And I've a few of the old metal dreads as well. And by old, I mean 3rd edition. Mind you, I do have a 2nd edition one as well. I don't have a Rogue Trader dread though. But I do. I have 2nd ed, 3rd ed, and I have the current plastic one. What can I say? By comparison, an average episode of Star Trek runs to 9 to 10 million American monies these days. Oh, okay, so it's budget in quotes TV then. So if I was saying before satellite TV, when terrestrial TV actually had money, back when we had like what 7 channels, or yeah, back when we had feck all channels. Think about that, like back before we had, back when there was more buttons on the remote than there was channels. Back in the day, love it. But it's been good crack. Yeah, because I remember for us it used to be like RT1, RT2. We used to get like channel 4 and stuff. And Sky 1 would be on like channel 7 or whatever. And I remember would have been, I don't know, 11 or 12 when Pokemon came out. 3 channels and you were bored. Back when TVs were monstrosities and they used to have their own cabinet to live in. What can I say? The Next Generation was about 1 million per episode in the 90s. At the time, Babylon 5 was about 500k per. But Space Above and Beyond was an eye-watering 2 million. Space Above and Beyond. The name doesn't ring a bell, but I like me some sci-fi. So maybe I do like. I think the TV program watched a lot of as like a teenager that was sci-fi would have been like Stargate, and then the various spin-offs. I watched a lot of Stargate, and I used to watch Star Trek Voyager, which I know a lot of Star Trek fans hate, and then I'm not too enamored with Star Trek in general. But I used to watch Voyager, a little bit of Deep Space Nine. I never watched Babylon 5. I don't know why, and I never came across it until later. But yeah, a lot of Stargate. It's a lot of Stargate. So far, you're saying they had way better kids' cartoons made with people who didn't fully come back from the 60s. Back in the day. Yeah, there was loads of cartoons, man. And then I think the problem back in the 90s was there was cartoons made specifically just to sell toys. So like Biker Mice from Mars. I remember that coming out on the toys for it. I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle craze was still going when I was really young. because those toys were hard to get a hold of when they were everywhere. You had like Street Sharks, which was another gimmick cartoon just for selling toys. Like there were so many of them. It only lasted 1 year. Military sci-fi about a squad of US Marines fighting aliens in the future. Oh, okay. Because they're saying B5 is well worth a watch. So I've been told. I've been told it's really good. Or what can I say? B5 is still my favorite TV show. Sci-fi saying I just wish they made a sequel to District 9. What will the prawns do when they return? Yeah, that was Neil Blomkamp, wasn't it? I think I saw that in the cinema when it came out. I thought it was pretty good. Um, yeah, he helps the dude escape, and then that's it. Like, film's over. Mighty Max. Oh yeah, as a Jeff was saying, Mighty Max. That was another great cartoon. Yeah, that was a great cartoon. I actually, do you know what? You reminded me. I dressed up as Mighty Max one Halloween as a kid. My mum cut out like an M, uh, because yeah, the M for Mighty Max, and had I remember like a safety pin on the back taped to the back of it, and it was cut out of like a Kellogg's cornflakes box. She had cut out an M and painted it red for me, and then I wore a white T-shirt and had the M on it, and had like the red cap, wasn't it? So yeah, I remember being Mighty Max for Halloween. It was a very low budget, low effort cosplay or Halloween costume. And I remember like Extravision. We had Extravision over here, which would be an equivalent to like Blockbuster. I remember renting out the Sega Mega Drive uh, cartridge for the Mighty Max video game. So Mighty Max was good, man. I had loads of sets for it. My brother threw them out when I was a teenager. I was away on holidays and he just threw them all out me. I held on to them for ages. I had loads of sets. There was like the Dragon Island. There was like a lava walker boss, which would actually, if you converted them, would make a great stomper or something. So loads of stuff. How can I say? So many cartoons of my youth were ads for toys we never got over here. Wait, it's still in development. Captain N, the Nintendo cartoon, was another one. Captain N. That does not ring a bell. Maybe if I have a look, actually look at it, it would remind me. Well, off the top of my head, Captain N. I do remember watching the Battletech cartoon because I distinctly remember going around the playground making like robot noises, like pretending to be the one of the mechs, the one with the battle axe, the Axeman, is it, or the Hatchet Man, whichever one it is. I remember pretending to be him and playing games with me friends and walking around like a robot. So I definitely watched the Battletech cartoon as a kid. Should watch that if you like Battletech though. Probably have Fang of the Sung Dogram. I haven't watched it yet, but it is on the to watch list. Captain M. What is this? No, I'm just getting like Captain America or Captain Phillips or Captain Marvel. Yeah, it's not coming up for me. Oh, there, Captain N. Games Master 101. The Games Masters. Wasn't that like a... That was a TV show as well, wasn't it? It was like the Games Master. We had the guy with the monocle. I remember kids like asking him questions. Oh, Games Master, I can't get past this level. And the dude would come on and he'd be like, well, you need to do this, this, and this. Captain N. Should watch this, yeah. Came out around the same time as Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda cartoons. I think they're from the middle 80s. Ah, right. So maybe I may have caught reruns. The Axeman mini is out next year. As in a mini of Adam Steiner's Axeman is out next year. Ooh, very nice. Games Master with Patrick Moore. Yeah, man. I remember that. So if I was saying when it's released, I'll be happy. Until then, supposedly Amazon is doing Judge Dredd Series 3 years ago. A few months ago, Sherlock Kobe said they'd be planned to ramp up work on Blomkamp, something with Gran Turismo. When he's done with Gran Turismo? Gran Turismo? Is that Gran Turismo is based off the video game? The only one of which I played was the original one back on the PlayStation 1, so it was a while ago. The old Gran Turismo. Smiley faces. There you go. Happy soy. And with that, I think we're going to have to bid adieu. It's been fun, folks. There will be no stream next week. We will be streaming the Sunday after, so Sunday fortnight, because next week we're off to a wedding. Yay! So, no stream next Sunday, but the Sunday after we should have a stream. And I will beat the absolute bejesus out of the gremlins that are running riot on the technical front. And yeah, we'll go from there. So thanks for joining in. Hopefully you've managed to get some hobby done. I've managed to get a little bit of hobby done. We've got our Kickstarter quick draw, mostly covered in green. Could do with a little bit more, and then we'll hit them up with some Vallejo Model Wash and green. And then we have our Archer from the Alpha Strike box set. We got a little bit of primer on. As a Jeff Warclaw is saying, well, sad to say, many of the cartoons I watched when I was young were animes from the 60s and the 80s. I mean, that doesn't sound bad. I used to love watching the old sort of the old films from back in the day when I was a kid, especially a lot of the old war films. An awful lot of old war films. I think that's what got me into wargaming. Mind you, I always liked like castles. I've always loved castles and dragons and knights and stuff. But yeah, my love for World War II was definitely fostered. You know, watching the old war films after school and the grandparents' house waiting to be picked up by the parents. You know, that's what it's probably what helped me get down into the wargaming patch. So if I was saying I looked at a paintbrush, does that count? Well, nearly. Looking at it is one part of it. Then you pick it up, then you put paint on it, and then you put paint in the miniatures. So you're step one. It's a baby step. So you're getting there. You know where your paintbrush is, which is the most important thing. A lot of the cartoons I watched as a kid were anime from the 80s, but that was in the 80s. Ah, yes, the 80s, the decade I barely saw. Fun times. But we're going to wrap it up for tonight. It's been fun. Thanks for joining in, folks. And like I said, we'll be doing another stream again in 2 weeks, and we will catch you then. Cheers for watching. If you're not subscribed, hit the old subscribe button and like this absolute shambles of a stream, but it was fun nonetheless. And I'll catch you next time. Good night.